My name is Mimi Kohnstamm, and I'm here today with Janine Francolini. I'm helping raise money for the Falls Foundation. My first question is, what is the secret to fundraising?
The first thing is relationships, and thinking about your donors and your community, and thinking about giving back to them. So changing the world and changing lives is something that's such a special gift. It's so unique and rare. So being able to give that gift to someone, to have the ability to impact and change someone's life and change the world for the better, that is one of the secrets, is just thinking about your donors in that relationship and giving back to them. And another piece is acknowledging them as well, making sure they feel that gratitude and that they feel involved and that they really see. It can be tiny little thing. Very often I'll just send an email to someone, or I remember someone had funded a gardening project and the garden was starting to grow, and I just took a picture and sent it to the donor and said thank you, a year after they had donated the money for that.
If gratitude is so important, can you give me some examples?
Sure. It's my favorite thing to talk about. I wrote a letter, a thank you note, to someone who has everything that they ever needed in the world. And she was so touched. I'd sent some pictures from her event and just a short letter, and she said, "This is going in a keepsake box forever." The most touching thing I've ever received. It was really sweet. So letters, and sometimes I'll make thank you videos, or if it's a donor's birthday, I'll do a dancing, singing thank you, happy birthday song for them. I just did one this week. I was in my office and we have these goddess statues, and I took a cupcake and I blew out the cupcake with each of these goddesses for our really incredible board member. So all kinds of ways. I work with the children to make thank you notes and pictures, and we send them to people, and just constantly acknowledging every gift, whether it's $1 or $100,000, just being really grateful for everything, every gift, every hour of service, every way that people touch our work and touch people's lives for helping us to change the world.
How did your organization grow?
It's funny, we just I started this with no plan at my kitchen table in 2008, and it just blew up immediately and grew. It was just amazing. And I think that when you can articulate a need, mental health is something that touches every family and everyone is aware of it. So when you can be really clear, people rally around. And we started, in the beginning, we had a lot of fun parties and ways for people to get engaged that were easy and accessible, and it just kind of became this wonderful snowball effect where people just came. We had these celebrity things that happened early on, and we've been very, very, very lucky. And again, just being in gratitude and staying connected to these relationships that have built over years, where people are increasing their assistance to us and their support, and we've become a bigger, stronger community.
How prevalent are mental health issues?
So every family and every person is affected by mental health, whether you know someone or you have someone in your family. And it's very, very common. We're just learning more and more, and people are becoming more open about it. So we didn't talk about these things years ago. So it's becoming more mainstream, luckily, thankfully. And the Oscars the other night they were talking about suicide and Alzheimer's and veterans and PTSD. It was an incredible night for our cause, because talking about it in the Oscars, and I was really excited because I wrote a blog about that, and the Huffington Post put the picture of my blog right next to John Travolta and Scarlett Johansson picture. They put that right next to there, so they were really promoting and saying mental health is important. So it's becoming more mainstream, and it's important because it affects everyone.
What do you mean when you say brain health?
So when you think about it, Mimi, everybody thinks about what they eat, how they exercise, their heart health. We teach little kids early on, don't eat too much sugar, don't watch too much TV. We think about our health in many different ways. But our brain health, what do we talk about? How much we're sleeping, how much stress we're experiencing, how much exercise we're getting, how our nutrition is affecting our brain health, which is something, there's a strong connection between sugar and the gut and all these other things. So do we teach little kids growing up, hey, if you're stressed out, if you're anxious, if you're not sleeping, we glorify oh, I was up all night, well, we should be concerned about that and thinking about that. So when I talk about brain health, it's exactly the way you'd think about dental health or heart health. We need to be thinking about brain health and the way we're taking care of our brains. Meditation, yoga, exercise, all of those different ways, relaxing, disconnecting from all of our technology and thinking about that organ that we ignore so much, our brains.
What are some other examples about giving?
Oh, that's a great question. Actually, I have 2 stories about the flawless necklaces. The other day, I got this text, and it said, "You will never know just how powerful your gift of the flawless necklace has been for me. Powerful." I got to run to class, but I'll share more later. I get texts and emails like this a lot. There was one story, we wrote about it in our newsletter. Someone got into a car accident, and she was wearing her flawless necklace. And she was attributing the ease of getting through it. It was very intense, but she felt like the flawless necklace was like this spiritual lucky charm that helped her in this. It was a very near kind of serious situation. And it was amazing that she felt so kind of protected by her necklace. And so there are ways of giving, these texts, these emails, this way that we wrote about this in our newsletter, that didn't cost, you were asking kind of before about if you don't have time or don't have money to donate, those are things that kind of live on as gifts that keep on giving and keep on inspiring. And we just have these amazing testimonials that come in all the time. Just stuff on social media is really big. A message will give someone hope, or just one line or one blog. So there are all these ways that you can give that aren't just money and time.
I'm here today with Yasmin Nguyen, the founder of Vibrance Global. What is your philosophy about giving?
Thanks for asking. I believe that giving is so much more than just the act of giving. I think that we have an opportunity to help create moments and opportunities to inspire others to give. And I have a story I'd like to share with you that really illustrates this point. Last March, I was out in Washington, D.C., and I was speaking at the Nonprofit Technology Conference. And while I was there, I was staying with my good friends Neil and Heather. Now, Neil and Heather have this amazing 10-year-old daughter named Kendall. And every morning when we sat down and we had breakfast together, Kendall would just light up the room with her energy and her curiosity. And so my last morning that I was there and we had sat down and had breakfast together, Kendall was really quiet. She kept to herself. She barely looked up from her bowl of cereal. And I reached over and said, "Hey, Kendall, what's going on? You seem different today." And she said, "Well, I've got to go sell Girl Scout cookies." And I said, "Well, what's wrong with that? People love cookies." She said, "Yeah, but every time I go out there and I ask someone if they want to buy cookies, I get rejected. They tell me that they're watching their weight or they already have some, and it just doesn't feel very good." And I was like, "Oh man, I totally understand. Rejection's no fun and it really doesn't feel good." So I asked her, I said, "Hey Kendall, how much are your cookies?" And she said they're $4 a box. So I reached in my wallet, I pulled out a 20 and I handed it to her and I said, "Here, why don't you give me 5 boxes?" She said, "Really?" I was like, "Yeah." Then I said to her, "But here's the thing, Kendall, I really don't eat cookies myself. And so what I'd like for you to do is to take those 5 boxes and I want you to give them to 5 people that you've never met before." All of a sudden her eyes lit up. She leaped out of her chair. She ran to her mom and said, "Mom, guess what? We get to give cookies away." And the transformation in her was amazing. And so I said to her, "Now, Kendall, here's the reason why I want you to do that. I want you to know what it's like to make someone's day. I want you to see, hear, and feel the difference that you've made and just understand their appreciation. And I want you to do it 5 times so you really know what that's like. Then, when you're out there, instead of asking people if they'd like to buy some cookies, ask them, hey, is there someone in your life you really care about? Because I'd like to help you make their day by giving them a box of cookies." So what we're doing is we're putting on this lens of giving. We're creating an opportunity for someone else to give. And in doing so, we're actually getting what we wanted, what we desired, but we're creating a moment that just warms someone's heart and creates a memorable opportunity. And really, when we think about giving, beyond just the act of giving someone something, how can we create those opportunities to help people give? And so when we tie that into fundraising and philanthropy, oftentimes people focus so much on just raising money. Here's our cause, support it. Rather than how do we share what Janine talked about, which is gratitude and impact, helping inspire them so that they get that joy of giving them that opportunity to give rather than asking them to give.
Awesome. I like that story a lot. How can you give beyond donating and volunteering?
There's so many ways that we can give that we take for granted. Just sharing appreciation, sharing a message or a story. When someone is, when you are inspired, you want to give. And sometimes we don't have money, sometimes we don't have time, but we can always share a message. And like with the Flawless Foundation, they're doing such amazing work. And when you share those stories of the families and the children and the people they've impacted, that is in fact an act of giving in itself. And so, I believe that everybody can give. It's just being mindful of the opportunity to help and share with others. So that's how you can share, that's how you can give beyond just money and your time.